Okay, today we just finished our 11th practice of spring ball. We get 15 total, counting the spring game, so a little bit more than two-thirds the way through. Really pleased with what I've seen so far. Really the most intense practices since I've been here in my 2 years. And, I think this past Saturday we had a big scrimmage and just really one of the most competitive scrimmages that we've had, and just overall depth, really with the first two groups, really pleased with what I see there. And then, defensively, I think Saturday we had 6 sacks and 8 tackles for loss, which might have been more than we had the whole season last year. We had in one scrimmage against a pretty good offensive line. So really pleased with what I'm seeing on both sides, but especially on the defensive side there, a lot of improvement. We'll have our last regular scrimmage this coming Saturday, and then we'll have the spring game 9 days from today. So we're excited about that. We'll get an opportunity. I think we moved it to 6 o'clock so we can play in the evening and play under the lights. We got 21 new players that have never played in Ray J, and 2 new coordinators. So we'll get an opportunity to coach in Ray J. We're going to split the rosters up for the spring game. Even, basically have a draft and split up both sides even and play it like a game. The only thing, we'll do all special teams except kickoff coverage and kickoff return. We'll have the kicker kick it to the returners and place the ball at the 25. Outside of that, everything else will be played just like a game. We'll split up the team and the coaches, and so looking forward to that. Also, really excited about halftime of the spring game this year. We're going to have our alumni flag football game. It's really something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and just due to COVID, this is the first year we're able to pull it off. But really, big shout out to B.J. Daniels, Sierra White in our office. They've been on the phone, and I think we have 43 former players that are coming back to play or coach in this game. 15 of the 43 are current NFL or former NFL players, and 5 Super Bowl champs in the crowd. So I'm going to read out the rosters here. I think we're going to be putting something out. But on the green team, our coaches will be Leroy Selman Jr., Marquez Valdez-Scantling, fresh off his new contract, George Selvey, Austin Ryder, and then playing for the green team, Matt Grothy, Pat Julmist, Isaac Virgin, Cedric Hill, Amari Jackson, Darren Bishop, Andre Hall, Mark Dial, Jeremiah Warren, Mike Jenkins, Jay Mize, Sam Miller, Keith McCaskill, S.J. Green, Nigel Harris, Louis Gachette, Thor Joswiak. And on the gold team, they'll be coached by Sam Barrington, Kayvon Webster, Mitch Wilcox, Dearness Johnson, Kawika Mitchell. Pretty strong coaching staff right there. And the players for the gold team will be B.J. Daniels, Vincent Jackson Jr., Sean Price, Theo Wilson, Andre Davis, Samson Genus, Marcus Shaw, Tyson Butler, Quentin Washington, George Baker, Kevin McCaskill, Josh Julmist, Eric Lee, Michael Linares, Jarrell Young, Terrell McClain, and Patrick St. Louis. So a really strong group, and all of the former players have been invited to come out and be on the sidelines for the entire spring game, and obviously be down there for the halftime game. So really looking forward to that. And I know they've already been doing a little bit of talking there, getting ready for that. So should be fun, and we're going to leave our players out there during halftime for them to get an opportunity to watch the former players have some fun and compete there. And then last thing, I just want to congratulate President Rhea Law on being named our new president. I believe she's the 8th president here at USF, but the first USF alum. And it's really incredible. I remember when she was named our interim president, she was out here the very next day. We were actually in fall camp, and she came out to practice to watch the practice, and then came up and met with all of the head coaches in the athletic department. And the message that I heard from her, not really knowing her up until that point, but one thing she talked about is when academics and athletics combine, we're better together. And that really stuck to me. And as soon as she said that, I raised my hand and asked her if she would consider running for the permanent president position. And at the time, she said she did not think that was going to be in her future, what she wanted to do. But I'm very excited and pleased that she did decide to run. And, I just think our leadership right now with Will Weatherford as our chair, Mike Griffin, our vice chair, our board of trustees, really just overall leadership at the university. There's an alignment in vision and plans of how we're going to move forward as a university and with athletics, and especially with football, with the on-campus stadium. And it really reminds me a lot of when Coach Sweeney got to Clemson and Jim Clements became the president, Dan Radakovich the AD. Clemson was able to do more in the next 5 years than happened the 50 years before that. And I really believe that we're getting ready to enter a stage here of these next 5 or 10 years that's really going to have an opportunity to move us up in a lot of areas. So very excited that President Law will be here with us full time. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Jeff, you just ran off a nice roster of former Bulls. And one of the things you wanted to do when you got here was to get as many former players involved as possible. Talk about how meaningful it is for you to have that.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said this whenever I've had the opportunity. We're actually going to have a social with them the night before. We'll have a USF football alumni social with all of our staff. And whenever I get a chance to speak to them, my number one message is this is y'all's football program, right? You guys played here, and you put in the time, and I'm just the leader of the program right now, and I take that as a huge responsibility to try to represent them the right way. But I've received great feedback from many of our football alums, and obviously they're just like our fans, right? They're hungry. They want to see us have success. But I've received a lot of positive feedback from them, seeing some of the changes and things that we're doing. And, this is one of the two things that we do. We always do something in the spring, and then also in fall camp, we'll invite all the former players out to a scrimmage and have a social with them. Hopefully this year we'll be able to have our current players eat with the former players in August after one of those scrimmages.
Now that you guys are kind of halfway into the spring, obviously I know you said that you wanted to reevaluate you got spring. Are you kind of narrowing down and zeroing in on what you need to add after this spring, to your roster and depth-wise?
Yes, I think we are. I mean, I think we would like to add at least one more defensive lineman. I think you can never have enough defensive linemen. And so really hoping to be able to add at least one more defensive lineman, and then also potential really kind of planning for the future, another offensive lineman. We're getting ready to next year to graduate 4 guys off that starting offensive line. And so I feel really good about Darrell Bailey, and he had surgery and will miss the rest of spring, but he's going to be a special player. And then also Mike Lofton that we added. He's been going with the ones throughout the entire spring with Brad Cecil and Dustin Hall being out. So we'd like to add one more offensive tackle, one more defensive lineman, and then maybe have room for 1 or 2 more after that. Part of it, I have to go through my meetings with the players after spring is over and figure out who's still locked in and moving forward with us. And always want to hold a few in your back pocket to address any needs that may come up from, April to August.
Jeff, you had that nice core leadership group returning that you've spoken about. Are you hearing any new voices out there as the practices have gone by, whether it's a transfer or
there have been. Amaris Brown probably is one guy that's really stood out, AB. He's a local product from Armwood that went out to Kansas State. And he's had a terrific spring and probably made as many plays as anybody on defense. But he has great energy, and I think people are, attracted to him with his energy, his playmaking ability, quickness, all the things that he does. I've seen him really have a positive influence in the leadership of our defense. And then, offensively, it's a little bit hard because we have so many, those guys up front. I would say I've seen Timmy McClain be more vocal than he's been in the past, and really kind of trying to take on a little bit more of that leadership role like he needs to at the quarterback position. So those would probably be 2 that stick out as far as young guys not in that senior group.
How do you think Timmy McClain played last season, and what have you seen from him this spring?
Yeah, I think Timmy played like a talented freshman last season. I think he made a lot of plays where you went, wow, how did he do that? And then he made a lot of plays where you go, wow, that's not a good play right there. That's a freshman mistake. And you have to go through that. I mean, many, many, many years ago, some of y'all can go do this research. I believe it was Charlie Ward's junior season was his first season. What was that?
24?
Was it interceptions?
Yeah.
So I think it was 92, 91 or 92, Charlie Ward, talented player, right? And he had actually had 3 years to kind of get ready, played punter a little bit early on. in his career. And they knew he was going to be talented. He went out there and I think threw 24 interceptions in his first year, right, and as a starter, and then the next year won the Heisman Trophy. So there's a price to be paid for experience, and we knew that a little bit last year. But you can only coach them up in practice and meetings. They've got to go out there and experience that and see it. But he made enough plays last year to give me a lot of optimism for what he can do for us in the future. But I think, some of the situational stuff and the end of games and understanding, when to not take a sack and throw the ball away and just how to finish a few things. But I've been really pleased with his progress actually today. We give out the chips, and he got one of the chips today for an outstanding performance at practice. So I'm pleased with his progress. And also Trey Marsh is a guy that's worked extremely hard this spring and is doing well. I'm looking forward to those two guys kind of dueling it out in the spring game on April 9th. Yeah, it's really just kind of a way to recognize each practice. I mean, number one, you want to have a competitive part to every drill that we do. So like when we're doing one-on-ones, wide receivers versus DBs, we keep score. We have a winner and loser. Whenever we're doing inside drill, we have a winner and loser. When we do third down, we have a winner or loser. And so you always want to have that competitive part going. But I think really the chips, basically we give out 4 after every practice, myself and the 3 coordinators, Coach Trickett, Coach Shoup, and Coach DePrada. And basically whoever they watched that day and who they felt had an outstanding practice, being able to kind of recognize them, I think is good. And so it's been good to have some new names kind of pop up in that, throughout the spring.
Jeff, we've heard a lot about what the on-campus stadium would do for the university as a whole. What do you think it would do for just you guys in the football department?
Yeah. Well, I think part of the on-campus stadium is going to be a new football operations. So, this building that we're in now, Leroy Selman Athletic Center, whenever they moved into 2005, it was a huge step up, right, for our athletic program to have a place where we can go. And now, 17 years later, we've kind of outgrown it, right? And so some of the other sports need some of our areas that football's in. And then football, we need more space and, having a football-only weight room, having a training room, locker room, new meeting rooms, all those type of things I think is going to be really important. And then also, I think that when you're out recruiting, players want to be a part of a special game day atmosphere. And I think it's proven that the best game day atmospheres are the ones that are on a college campus, right, where the students can come. I mean, I just have every once in a while I get in the golf cart and just kind of drive around, and I just have a vision of USF Holly right there on game day, of that just being a festive atmosphere and them shutting it down from cars and students walking down, and just the energy and the team coming out to a very energetic atmosphere, and with our alumni being able to come back. So I think the atmosphere of that, and then I think finally is we get to have a place that we call our home, right? And I've kind of used this analogy before. I believe this year will be our 26th year as a football program. And Ray J, it gets the job done. It's kind of like a 26-year-old still living with your mom and dad. It gets the job done, but it's not yours, right? You're not going to bring your buddies over and have a good time. And it's time for us to have our own home where we can really celebrate and bring everybody back. So I think that atmosphere, being able to have that, and I think, just in recruiting, I already know, I mean, the indoor facility and the talk of the on-campus stadium, we're able to be in conversations later in the process already with local players that we haven't been able to be in the past. And the reason is they see what's coming and the new energy, and they want to be a part of that.
Does it bring legitimacy, or what's the kind of the word, or how do you describe what just happened with guys suddenly wanting?
It shows a commitment, right? And I just think that the last 10 years, man, in college football everywhere, people have been pouring, and I've said this before. Whenever I left Clemson to come down here, in my mind, before I got here, I said, hey, the kids that are going to go to Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, that's fine, they're going to go. But the kids that are going to all those other Power 5, lower Power 5 schools, we'll keep all those kids right here. And I firmly believe that, just by doing a great job recruiting, relationships. And I started the process, went through it, and got really close to a couple kids, and they're going far off. I'm like, come on, I was close enough to explain to me, what did we do wrong, what is it? And they're like, Coach, it's just not the same. They start showing these locker rooms and stadiums and weight rooms, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought Clemson and Alabama and Georgia were the only ones that had that. What I didn't realize is those other schools, even though they haven't won at a high level, they've been getting $40 and $50 million a year for the last 10 years. So they've had huge investments in their facilities and infrastructure. And we don't have to have the exact same thing, but we have to have something that's nice, that does say, hey, yes, athletics and football is important here. They're investing. I mean, we're getting ready to invest. If you just look over the next 5 years, you know, a couple $100 million into our athletics and football program. Like, that makes a statement, right? And I think I probably used it before, but the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So let's don't worry. We have our history and our path, and it's very unique to us. And we've celebrated that, and we're going to continue to do that. But now it's about what's in front of us. And I just feel very fortunate and blessed to be the coach standing up here that has the chance to be a part of that. And the recruiting, that hits with recruits, to have a chance to come to a place and do things that have never been done, and not just go somewhere that's been doing it for a long time. I mean, that group that's going to get a chance to play in that stadium for the first time, those are the guys that we're recruiting right now that are high school juniors. That's the group that'll be, you know, hopefully seniors, juniors and seniors playing in that first year in the stadium. Okay, as far as in spring? Yes. Yeah. I've already mentioned one of them, AB, at corner, Maris Brown. DJ Gordon, James Gordon, he, linebacker, he's really stood out. He had a lot of big-time plays last week. Defensively, I would say Rashawn Yates. Again, I think Rashawn, talented player, but just kind of inconsistent last year. And he has really just fully committed himself to doing the things required to be a really good player. And I've seen him. He's probably been our most dominant defensive lineman throughout the spring. So that's been really good to see from him. I would say on the offensive side of the ball, Kelly Joyner. It's actually his birthday, so happy birthday, Kelly. Kelly and Brian Battie, Jaron Mangum, those three have really had a very strong, I feel really good with our running back. You had Mikey Dukes and some of those guys to it. I feel really good about the running back room. Before he got injured, Darrell Bailey, the new offensive lineman from Virginia Tech, was doing excellent. Like I mentioned his name, Mike Lofton, transfer. He's been running with the ones really since the second practice, and we haven't really skipped a beat there. Been doing a good job. Receiver-wise, you know, we know about Jimmy Horn. We know about Weaver. Joe is a guy that's made some really big plays and is different maybe than some of the other guys. And then one name that maybe y'all don't have that I'll give you. Be excited to see how he does in the spring game. But DeQuan Stanley, who played receiver in high school, played both ways. We signed him as a corner, and he came to me about moving over to wide out. And usually with a young guy, I want them to kind of stick with what we signed him. But we moved him over to slot, playing there behind Jimmy Horn, and he's made he can really run, natural catching the ball. I think that's going to be a really good fit for him at the wide receiver position.
What were the circumstances behind Byron Matsos coming on your team? And I know it's early on, and I don't know what your expectations even are, but certainly people are interested in this kind of thing. A basketball player that can maybe what do you see, and what could he become?
I see something we don't have, and that's 6'8", 265 length. So, you know, he came to see me once the basketball season was over, and I'd been to some games, so I knew who he was. And he was talking about he's interested in it. I immediately sent him back to talk to Coach Gregory first. And then he came back over later that afternoon and said that he wanted to try it out. And what's fun about him, he's originally from the Dominican Republic. And then he came over and maybe spent 1 year of high school in Chattanooga. And then went to New Mexico for basketball, then transferred here for basketball. He's played 0 football. So literally the first day when we were getting him outfitted, he'd never put a helmet on until that point. And so that, you know, he's definitely got a lot to learn. He's still, you know, figuring out parts of the game and all that. But here's what I'll say about him. He wants to do it. Like, he is serious. Sometimes you have basketball guys, hey, whether you're coaching high school, they're going to come try it out. They just kind of put one toe in. He is passionate about it. He's up here trying to learn, trying to do it. He's very serious about it. And so early on, his first practice, we put him back there to block field goal kicks, and I think he's blocked 2 field goals in his, you know, basically, I think he's been here for 4 or 5 practices. And then in Saturday's scrimmage, he had 2 sacks. And to see the team excited about him for those sacks was awesome. And then also, it's a very strange way, but dealing with eligibility, he actually has 4 years to play. So he technically is like a mid-year high school kid getting here in January. This fall, he's got 4 years counting this fall to play. And so far, I've seen good progress from him. He is long and has some good twitch to him for being a long guy. I have no doubt in my mind if he continues to make progress, he'll help us next year. It'll be one of those situations where people go, whoa, where did this guy come from? Because there's not many of those guys out there. And so I'm really pleased with his progress so far. Yeah, defensive end. Yeah, so he's playing defensive rush end.
You were used to throw the ball in the 90s in baseball too?
What's that?
Used to throw in the 90s in baseball back then?
I would not be surprised with him. Yeah, he didn't. Well, Jeremy Lee's asked him if he knew, ever worn a helmet, and he said, no, but I got a picture of the face mask that I want. So that's where he started. He'd done a little research with that. So, all right. Anything else?
Jeff, what's the, people are wondering about the spring game not being streamed. They're wondering about your intentions, about not wanting things out there. What is your, what is your feeling about all this?
Yeah, and this may not be the case every year, but I'll say this, especially it's been 5 years as co-OC at Clemson. The hardest games to prepare for are always your openers because everybody has a new team from, December to September the next year. That's been magnified more than ever with the transfer portal. I can remember many years ago we opened up against Alabama 2008 in the Georgia Dome, and they had Tay Cody at nose guard. We had no idea who he was until the game started, and we figured out we couldn't block him. We wish we'd have known about it earlier. But, some schools, due to conference like the SEC, because of their contracts, they have to stream and play all their games, spring games. So we would always that's the number one tape to get. We would get that and we would cut it up, and that would be the number one cut up we would use because you're getting to see the new team, the new alignments. And then on top of that, the other thing that's very difficult to prepare for is if the team you're playing has a new coordinator. Because then you're trying to figure out, all right, what's he going to be doing schematically? What's his alignments? Is he an over front, under front? Is it bench? Is it field? What alignment does he play as nickel Sam? Things that maybe a normal fan watching the game wouldn't notice, but coach is seeing that. You can kind of see the DNA. And then with our situation, with two coordinators, who both of our coordinators actually have not coordinated in 2 or 3 years, and so now these guys are, BYU first game, they got to go watch 2018 Mississippi State. They got to go watch 2017-18 Georgia State, and then got to think about what's happened over the last 3 years that they may be doing. And so it's unfortunate. I've tried to be a coach that has the most access we can and stream as much stuff as we can and let everybody see it. And I hate it for some of the fans that maybe won't be able to make it. But I think the number one thing that all the fans want to do is to win. And I think this is one of these rare situations with 2 brand new coordinators that haven't coordinated in a few years. There's a lot of mystery there. And then with 21 new players trying to figure out Matsos and some of these guys, I would rather them figure out the first half of the game in the fall, trying to figure out some of those things than to just put it on a platter and show them. And again, we're fortunate because we don't have some of the contracts that some of the other leagues do that make out. But I promise you, all those other coaches, they don't want to do that. So I'm not sure that we'll do that every year, but this situation, hopefully we're not replacing new coordinators every year either. But this situation, and with BYU being so far away, I think it's the best interest of our team to just have the people that are there watch it.
So there is something to the idea that those guys, that Travis and Bob haven't coached and haven't coordinated in a couple of years. So there's a variety of wrinkles that they could probably put in.
Yeah. Yeah, so they, every coach has your own DNA. As an offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, you have like what you're known for, what your DNA is, how you do things. And it just, as an offensive coordinator, man, I disliked when a new D coordinator was coming for the first game because you got to figure out where he was. Was that because the head coach wanted to do some of those things? Was that because the personnel he had at that team, that's why he did that? Show me what you're doing with this new team. Okay, good, you're 4 down. All right, good, you're bringing the same. Okay, it's not like the specific plays like, oh, they're going to run a halfback pass. That's not what you're talking about. It's more of the alignments and where you put the back. Is the back a yard and a half deep? Is he a yard deep? You know, all these things that can help out coaches that are watching these things and the cut-ups. And BYU's not worried about it on April 9th, but they will be, you know, July 20th through, you know, the end of August, whenever you start really kind of breaking it down. So, yeah, not trying to fool anybody or trick anybody, but it's just this year it's in our best interest to have a little bit of mystery there with what we're doing.
Just for clarity's sake, I mean, we've all experienced really super secretive coaches
Yeah.
who don't
No.
let anything in.
No.
You don't appear to be that guy.
No.
You're accessible.
And honestly, the one thing I don't, with us not streaming it, we'll be able to be a little bit more open with our playbook offensively and defensively, which is really best because we need the practice running some of the blitzes and running some of the new run schemes that we've done. And sometimes if you are putting it on TV or streaming it, it's a very, very vanilla version. But no, I hopefully everybody knows kind of from maybe watching me the last 2 years, I haven't tried to be very secretive or anything like that. It's just literally from an X's and O's standpoint of what we put in our system, how we do breakdowns, the cut-ups that we watch and all that. It's like just putting it on a platter, trying to help them. And again, I think it could be a little bit advantage for us in the first game, them trying to figure out a little bit of feeling out process. Because we've all coached in games where you didn't have a spring game cut up and where you do. And you're definitely a lot more confident in schematically what you're going against and also personnel and watching this defensive end, tendencies, and, you know, all those kind of things. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Sophomore quarterback Timmy McClain. All right, big question for Timmy.
Timmy, Coach noted how he's noticed how much more vocal you've been this spring. Do you just see that as an evolution in your leadership of the offense, given you have a full season under your belt?
Yes, sir. After coming off this last season, I just felt like I just need to be more of a vocal leader. Getting the guys right in the right places in the right positions. So, yeah, it's just being more vocal. Got to be more vocal.
Timmy, how do you think you played last season? In your view, the whole season.
I think I played, okay. I think I could have done a little bit better. As far as the pass game wise and the run game, I feel like I could have done a little bit more. So, I think I played okay, but not the best. Not the best.
What did you see that you took out of the season that I got to improve on this?
Yeah, the one thing I got to improve on is just making better decisions when I'm out the pocket. I feel like I had too many bad decisions out the pocket, of just throwing the ball up and just not knowing who's around. So, just stuff like that, and just learning the playbook more and just being detailed on everything. So.
What are the biggest areas you've grown in this spring?
I feel like I've grown, like being a leader, being vocal. I'm starting to come out of my shell, and the pass game. I feel like I've been real good. Passing the ball. Making the right decisions on the pass game. So. Yeah.
Coach mentioned Ashu. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Say that again.
Ashu, the receiver?
Oh yeah, he's a big target. I love him on the fade balls. But he's a real big target, and we'll see a lot of playing time from him this year.
How would you say you feel now compared to last year, just in terms of your confidence and the way you're going about things?
I feel like I feel more prepared last year. I feel like last year I wasn't really prepared as much. This year I'm getting a lot of reps at the ones. And so last year I wasn't getting the reps as the ones, but we got other guys. So I feel like I'm feel more prepared, prepared. Yeah.
Is there a general vibe that you get from Coach Strickland as far as leading the offense, like what kind of fun, give everything away?
Yeah, he pushes us. He pushes the quarterback room to get the other guys on point. Get the other guys juiced up. So, yeah, it starts with Coach Strickland, though. Once Coach Strickland gets us going, we all full speed.
The last play of your freshman year was an unusual one in the UCF game.
Yeah.
And people are still wondering what happened there. As you have separated from it, think back on it. What happened on the play? What were you trying to make happen, and how did it?
Basically, we had I should have just thrown the ball away, just because. Just should have thrown the ball away. Nothing was open, so I just should have thrown the ball away. And then me being a freshman, I'm trying to make things work. So I try to cut it back inside, try to run, and that didn't work. So should have just thrown the ball away. Thrown the ball away, we get another play, and then might win the game. So.
Is is that kind of what you were talking about, that play?
Yeah, just
things
making.
you gotta get better at?
Yeah, things got to get better at. Just decision making. You know, that wasn't really a good decision. You know, to just try to run it in and just try to be selfish. You know, I should have just thrown it out of bounds and just live, see another day, live, see another play.
Byron Matsos, you're kind of an old soul. You look up to guys like Bart Starr in terms of quarterbacks you like to watch and things like that. Just curious, how did you get into Bart Starr? Because he's a little before your time.
Yeah.
And, what do you like about his game?
You know, when I was young, I used to watch. You know, I used to be on the NFL Network TV show. So you know, they used to have little documentaries about these quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks. So I used to watch a little bit of that. So that's how I know about the Bart Starrs. You know, the Johnny Unitas, Joe Nafta, I think that's his name. So yeah.
Is that something you've always been interested in, those old school quarterbacks, or is there somebody in your family or a friend that kind of?
Yeah, I've always been interested in old school quarterbacks. You know, one thing that I really like about it is that the helmet. I feel like the helmets. I'm interested in the helmets. Thought that was pretty cool.
Tim, you came close to a lot of wins last year, just fell short. You've seen the guys that have been added to this team, so what's your feeling about what you guys can do this coming season?
I feel like we can do a lot, this coming season. We got a lot of, I got my starting offensive line back. That's a huge, big part. I got some receivers coming back, and I got some receivers that we have add on that's been playing, a big role in this offense. We still got some running backs that's pretty good at running the ball. So I just feel like with all the guys coming back, we're just going to be more prepared, just more, we're going to be able to play like we want to play and win the games we want to win.
What's your feeling also about, you have that big indoor facility staring in the face every day, and
Yeah.
then looks like this on-campus stadium is going to move forward and happen. Just those two things, what's your view of where the program's headed?
I feel like we just send a message, not only to, the fans, but send a message to the younger guys that, we're going to be like those Alabama and Clemsons, we're going to be like those Georgias, as far as a facility and as far as a program, we want to be just like those guys. So, don't go out of state when you just stay here at home, Thank you.
Thank you.
Senior safety returning captain, Mekhi LaPointe.
I gotta hit this.
Sorry.
I gotta hit it.
You're like,
Superstar. I can take this off.
It works, I think.
Hello.
Mekhi, you have seen all these new guys come in on defense and on offense too. And so as you see the progress here, what's your feeling about where the program's moving and what you guys might be able to do next season?
I got a great feeling. We got a few new guys on offense, a few new guys on defense. They bring a lot of energy. They fit right in from day one. It's nothing but love with those guys. I have a great feeling about what they're going to bring to this team.
What are the primary differences under Coach Shoup?
With Coach Shoup, he's a very aggressive style of defense. His aggressive mindset in general. He always says that he's not going to play to what the offense runs. He's going to run blitzes before they can even scratch that, my bad. My bad. But, Coach Shoup is a very aggressive style of mindset as a defensive coordinator. He's always playing on his toes. He's never playing on his heels. So, say first down, might blitz him first down. You never know. He's always a wild card. You never know with him. But he's very aggressive mindset.
Were you on the same Armwood team as Amaris Brown?
No, I wasn't.
Do you know him?
I knew him a little bit before he went to Kansas State. I didn't know him that well, but I did know him a little bit.
What do you think? Coach mentioned he's one of the real bright spots
Definitely.
in the spring. What have you seen, and what can he add to your defense?
He's a very physical player. I noticed that from day one. Very physical at corner. I think he's very versatile. I think he can play corner. I'm pretty sure. I know he played safety at Armwood, but I know he can play nickel as well. But he brings a lot of energy every day, even in workouts. He's a very energetic guy.
You see different about the offense when you had the scrimmage Saturday, was it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you see different in the offense this year and last year? Maybe under team, maybe a little more mature?
I'd say with the offense, I see a little bit better, or I wouldn't say better, but maybe a little bit quicker decision making. And that just comes with experience. a year under Timmy's belt. He's been doing a great job. Nothing but props to him, trying to pick him off every practice. But, he makes us work, and I appreciate it, man. I really do.
I'm assuming your pass rush has improved. Can you give an assessment of that?
We got Jatorian. We got some new guys coming up. We got a few returning guys like Vaughn, T. Logan. He's been doing very well in spring practice so far. They've been very aggressive. Under Coach Shoop's defense, it's very easy to be yourself and, play aggressive if you want to play aggressive. We got
There's a big improvement that's happening.
definitely.
Byron Matsos on defense for a few practices.
Hey, man. Hey. So I seen B. I seen him a few times in the training room. They said he played basketball. I'm like, basketball? What about football, But to my surprise, last week, sure enough, he was in the team meeting room. Like, we got a new player. And they're like, yeah, man, he's from basketball. I'm like, yeah, I remember talking to him, trying to recruit him a little bit. But, he's been great. He's been transitioning very well for him never playing football a day in his life. He's been transitioning very well.
What's it like with him on the field, though? I imagine he's asking around for help, or is he fitting it okay?
He's actually fitting in okay, honestly. I haven't seen him asking too many questions. I've heard a few jokes about him not being able to put on his shoulder pads the first few days correctly. But other than that, man, he's been fitting in pretty well. He's been catching up with the scheme pretty well.
I mean, for a guy like that, normally you only hear about that in high school.
Yeah.
Not being able to put his shoulder pad on it. Just for him, it's like he's like going through that high school experience. How you got a guy come through that?
I'm just trying to tell him to be himself. We're all gonna accept you. You're part of this team now. You're part of this brotherhood. Just be yourself. We'll help you guide you through the little things like putting your pads on, this, that, and whatever. But as far as the field goes, tell him to be himself and just play hard. It'll come eventually.
So what coaches always say, block kicks are huge plays in games, turnaround games, and he potentially could be a weapon there.
Yeah.
So does he just, obviously he has the size, and I assume he has the leaping ability, so.
Definitely.
Could he just be a problem if he gets that down?
He definitely can. I think it was either his first or his second practice. He missed a block kick by this much, like literally that much. We stick him in the middle, just tell him to jump up. He's 6'7", 6'9", so with a long wingspan, so you just tell him to jump up. Might block it.
Coach Scott was pretty excited about the halftime with all the alumni, some big names.
Mhm.
Normally, I guess you guys don't care about halftime, but are you excited about that yourself?
Yeah, I am excited, bringing a lot of the guys back. I think it's very important that you have a connection with the alumni who used to play here, even if Coach Scott may not know them as well. I think it's a great connection that he's trying to build with the alumni here.
We heard Coach Scott mention the last couple practices in particular have been the most intense
Mhm.
he's seen since he's been in Tampa. Has that felt like for you as well? You felt the intensity, and I guess how does it feel this spring compared to last spring?
It's been very intense. We got a lot of new guys. We got a new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator, so everybody's competing. Everybody's competing for the job. There's nobody's spot is solidified, and myself included, and I like it that way. I like competitive, and the team likes competitive energy as well. So, we just try to bring that to the field every day.
Kyle, you're a COVID senior, is that right? Like
Yeah.
Extra season?
Yeah.
So you have this last season that was granted to you, right?
Yeah.
So one day you'll come back and be in the alumni football game and talk about your days. So you're going to be in the indoor. You might see the stadium start to raise up. What will you kind of look back on as this time, in terms of the program moving forward? What you and your people contributed when you were here?
It's just an honor. Coach Scott always says that my class and maybe the class before me kind of started this wave of a new energy coming into USF. The new energy as far as the indoor and the new campus stadium that they're talking about. But it's just a great feeling to know that I have had a part in the program.
And how much difference will the stadium in uniform make? Stadium on campus?
Huge difference. A few years ago, I would talk to students, and I'll tell them, yeah, we got a game. We got a game coming up. They'll tell me, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. So I think having an on-campus stadium is just much more recognition. And, you know, students wouldn't have to take the bus to get to Raymond James. You could walk literally from your dorm, so that would be a higher capacity as far as fans go. Local recruiting, huge. Just having an indoor, a stadium, you can show that off to the local recruits. You know, a lot of other schools have that, and we don't right now. So, you know, it's an uphill battle at times, but I think the new energy that the president and Coach Scott has been bringing in, along with Michael Kelly, has been great, and I think it'll pay dividends.
I mean, when that end door opens, you guys are in, that's going to mean a lot to everybody. But
Yeah.
for you and your extra year seniors, you think it'll mean the most that you guys, hey, we get to do this, we got in here? And
Yeah, honestly, it probably will mean the most to us because, you know, we've been at the highs, we've been at the lows of the program through our 6 years, 5 years here. It'll definitely mean a lot. We've been here when it's raining and we got to go into the gym and finish practice in the gym with shoes on, or go into the weight room and do a walkthrough instead. We can't finish practice. So I think it'll mean a lot for us.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.